With algebra, it's good practice to understand our terms well. And so here I'm going to introduce several of these. You may have heard these before, but again, it's just making sure that we have the right definitions. Okay, so this thing here is what we call an algebraic expression. Okay, and the expression is basically just some sort of algebraic statement. Notice there's no equals here, so you can't say equation. It's just an expression. Okay, now made up in the expression we have things like constants, coefficients, variables, factors, and terms. And I'm going to try to highlight what those are. Okay, so the constants are basically just the things that are real numbers left by themselves. So when I look over here, I see the negative 55 is a constant. That is a constant. The variables are the unknowns, the things, the alphabet part of algebra, the things that we're looking for most of the time. Okay, and so in this example, my variables here are all the x's. This x cubed, this x minus 1, the square root of x there. The x is my variable. Okay, now in terms of coefficients, coefficients are the real numbers interacting with these variables, in this sense, the real numbers that are being multiplied by a variable. Okay, so for example, this 13 here is a coefficient, the 14 is a coefficient, the negative 55 is not. Remember, it's a constant. What about this 11, this minus 11 here? Notice in this part here, if this was an algebraic expression by itself, then the minus 11 would actually be a constant. Right, so it's more like 55 than it is 14. Okay. Now within this expression, you can notice, if you can picture it maybe like a train, you'd have different cars in this train separated by the plus and minuses. Those cars are what we call the terms. So my first term is all of this. 13x cubed times x minus 1 is the first term. 14 times the square root of x is the second term, and the 55 at the end is my third term. You may actually say that the third term is a negative 55, and so instead of saying minus 55, you have plus negative 55. Okay. Now the factors is what you get after you have separated. The factors are the things being multiplied together. So this whole expression itself only has one factor, the whole thing itself. Okay, but these terms in particular do have their own factors. So for this term, my factors are 13, because I have 13 times x cubed times x minus 11. So each of these are factors. In this second term, I have factors as well. I have 14 as a factor, and the square root of x is a factor. Okay, and the third one, I mean, I guess you could say the factor is a negative 55, but it's not really helping you any, so we don't usually call that a factor. All right, so that's a quick overview of different terms of algebra. I hope it makes sense. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be glad to help, and thanks for watching.